There is a push for lasting peace in one of Nigeria's most violent and environmentally degraded regions. President Bola Tinubu has met with the governor of Rivers State and leaders of Ogoniland at the council chamber of the State House in Abuja. The president called on Ogoni leaders to set aside their age-long differences and embrace unity and collaboration in the oil-rich region. He assured Ogoni leaders that his administration would prioritize peace, justice, and sustainable development in the area. Also in attendance were the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, Minister of Regional Development, Abubakar Momo, Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas, and the Group CEO of NNPCL, Mele Kyari. National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu was asked to coordinate negotiations for peace.
Collectively, we belong in this country. We are all responsible. As much as possible, we cannot in any way rewrite the history, but we can correct some anomalies going forward.
Mr. President, the love we have for you, the respect we have for you, is just for you to say, you're behind that meeting, we should go back and continue the consultation with a timeline so that this issue of oil, resumption of oil operation in Ogoniland will commence. So let me thank Mr. President for bringing us here, and we will be very patient to listen to you and to adhere to your instruction. I can assure you that we'll give you all the necessary support to make you succeed in this assignment that other government has failed to achieve.
Your Excellency, the presence of this delegation is a testament to the Ogoni people's readiness to engage constructively in the pursuit of peace, justice, and a sustainable development. Their willingness to participate in this dialogue reflects a shared hope for meaningful progress and enduring solutions.
Collective.
The meeting is essentially about bringing peace to Ogoni people and the need for the various groups to work together as a group so that there will be more prosperity in the land of Ogoni. And of course, Mr. President has already given the assignment to the National Security Advisor to coordinate that and also urge all stakeholders in Ogoniland to cooperate with the National Security Advisor with a view to bringing peace to the Ogoniland.
HyPref is a project which has a lifespan, and we're trying to work within that lifespan. So we have at least three to 4 years to complete that, and that's what we're trying to do now. And I believe that we have gone more than halfway. In the area of simple and medium remediations, I think we have almost completed that. We are moving to the what they call complex and more difficult remediation, where we are dealing with pollution that is under buildings, under markets, under schools, which we need to have a more complex approach in trying to address it. That's where we are now moving to.
All right. Rufai, Ogoni in the spotlight this morning, meeting with the president. Yesterday, there were conversations around the president having meetings with the governor of Rivers State, minister of the FCT, but now we see what the outcome of that, at least a major outcome of the meeting, but not just with both of them, the stakeholders I had mentioned earlier. Your take on this story?
I think we cannot talk about the Ogoni matter without talking about justice. Justice for Ken Saro-Wiwa and others killed. Because Ken Saro-Wiwa was just living his life, but he saw injustice and he couldn't look away. He was busy creating all the television content, Ambassi and company and the likes, and writing books. But he saw the plight of his people before he made the Ogoni Bill of Rights, which was a reaction to the injustices. Just like everybody cries in this country. People producing a resource and they cannot benefit from it. Their lands have been polluted. That's why some environmental agencies and some CSOs and civil society organizations have been talking about a 1 trillion kitty to be able to clean up. I mean, Ayo, you just need to read the UNEP report of 2015. total environmental degradation over 50 years. The Ogoni people didn't really get a fair share of the resources that are produced on their land. And when Sarowiwa did speak up, we all know the role of the oil majors and how it was killed. And we all know what that killing did to Nigeria, the sanctions from the Commonwealth that came afterwards. I'm happy Owen was there. Ken Saro-Wiwa's sibling was there. At first, we need to be able to bring justice as regards the Ken Saro-Wiwa case, then bring about a cleanup, then bring about development. Because if we do not talk about that part of our history, then we do not move forward. And the people of Ogoniland are not demanding too much. We're saying do the needful. With all the wealth taken out of Ogoni, can Ogoni have anything to show for it? Nothing. I saw the essence of the oil wealth in Texas, Ayo, with my Kurukuru eyes. Super highways, 5 lanes on both sides. This is what the oil economy does. This is what the oil economy does. Infrastructure. In the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolis, they've built infrastructure like there's no tomorrow. It's over 24,000 square kilometers of land with about 8 million people there, but the infrastructure is so immense. We don't see the same. And that's why it segues into the PIB when they say they want to do more for the host communities. We just hope that this money really trickles down. People of Ogoni can't drink water and all of that. So we need to clear that out before we start talking about return exploration there. Because there's a possibility of return exploration. I know we want to show up oil revenue, and that's why we're talking to the Ogoni people and all of that. But we need to fix justice, clean up that area. Yes, Ogoni majors have done some extensive reports. In fact, people can start picking Imekpe once in a while, periwinkle, that's what we call Imekpe in the local palace. They can start picking Imekpe small. It shows that, okay, the cleanup is working, but we need further justice. And that UNEP report must be reviewed. All the terms and conditions put in there. Let's see how it pans out before we even start talking about exploration. Because we'll start exploration again and we'll jeopardize the lives of the Ogoni people.
Okay, what is the context of this story and the meeting that was held yesterday? In 1956, oil was discovered in Nigeria in 1956 by the Royal Shell Group, and then it set up Shell Nigeria to engage in exploration. This was in Olobiri in Bayelsa State. In 1958, oil was discovered in Ogoniland. By 1960, Shell had set up, thousands of kilometers of oil. And between 1960 and 1993, Shell got over 900 million barrels of crude oil out of Ogoniland. In other words, it was established that Ogoniland was contributing about 60% of crude supply that Nigeria was, putting out internationally. However, in spite of that, within the same period, oil spill was over 3,976 in terms of oil spill. In fact, about 2 million barrels of oil wasted into the environment, specifically between 1976 and 1993. In other words, the Ogoni people were providing the mainstay, 60% of crude oil production, but because they have very versatile oil fuels. But they then discovered that they were suffering from wildlife destruction, aquatic life was suffering, neonatal mortality in Ogoniland was among the highest in the country, maternal mortality, and so you had the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people led by Ken Saro-Wiwa coming up. And they came up with the Ogoni Bill of Rights. It was not just the Ogoni Bill of Rights. They were supported by Amnesty International. They were also supported by other bodies, environmental bodies in the world, including Greenpeace. And the argument at the time was that the people of Ogoni needed to be saved, that they should not provide the wealth of Nigeria and yet suffer so much. Now, all of that story about Ken Saro-Wiwa's, tragic heroism, and also the Ogoni 8, because it was not just Ken Saro-Wiwa that paid the heavy price. So the community was disrupted, the lives of the people were disrupted. Now, since 1993, there has been no oil operation crude oil operation in Ogoniland because the Ogoni people said, no, you can't come and take our oil. They went to court. There was a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court of Nigeria. They were given compensation for 49.3 billion naira compensation. There was a case in Netherlands, the homeland of Shell, which also awarded about 15 million euros to the people of Ogoniland. And Shell said, oh, we will pay. Well, I don't remember the details about how they paid. But the more important thing was the report in 2011 by the United Nations Environmental Program. We said that there was need for cleanup in Ogoniland. And they recommended that it should start immediately to save the environment. Now that cleanup, again, government said it will start in 2016. It didn't start in 2016. In 2019, HIREP, something called HIREP, that's the hydrocarbon, restoration, whatever project. Now, the problem was that the Nigerian government gave a lot of money for HIREP. Till today, HIREP has not made any difference in this regard. So the people of Ogoni, now talking to the federal government, talking to the state government, they have had this meeting. And the President Tinubu, who inherited this problem anyway, because there has been no oil exploration there for at least 32, 33 years, is now saying, look, we can resolve this matter. If we live in the past and we dwell in anger, we will not be able to solve the problem. So is President Tinubu trying to create a problem that began, over 30 years ago? Now, he has asked the National Security Advisor to meet with the people. He has also asked that the various stakeholders should come together and work with government. Will President Tinubu be able to solve the problem? The question is in the air. However, we need to insist that the people deserve to have a good environment. If they contribute so much to Nigeria, the emphasis should not be on getting 60% of crude from Ogoniland. The emphasis should be on the welfare of the long-suffering people of Ogoniland. And it is in that context that environmental groups, a coalition of about 16 groups, including Environmental Rights Action, ERA, have now said, no, there should be no further exploration in Ogoniland. That in fact, Nigeria should be pulling out of fossil fuels exploration. Anyway, that again is a question that hangs in the balance, considering the fact that even the major Western countries that say, oh, we are moving away from fossil fuels, are the ones going back, whether in the UK or in the United States, where Trump is saying that his ambition is to drill. Baby, drill. So these are the many dimensions of the matter. But as for President Tinubu's effort, I think, we can say, it's a good idea. But not for Nigeria, but to worry about the welfare of the people of Ogoni, who are still suffering, even after oil exploration has started, because all the pipelines are decayed. There's still oil spills being experienced, and remediation is not taking place. Yeah. Government has the responsibility to take care of its people, whether they are Ogoni or they are whatever again, Yoruba.
Right, absolutely. The last time that oil exploration production happened in Ogoniland was 32 years ago, as has been highlighted in 1993. And this is as a result of the environmental degradation, the local resistance in particular, because of the government's neglect and almost the responsibility to the people of Ogoniland, who were responsible for a huge chunk of Nigeria's oil production. In fact, today it's said that it's estimated 1 billion barrels of recoverable oil reserves in Ogoniland that is not explored as a result of the neglect and the resistance of the people. In 1990, Ken Saro-Wiwa presented the Bill of Rights, which caused a lot of ruckus. And what they were just asking for is fairness, equity, justice to the people who were responsible for a lot of revenue generation for Nigeria. Now, revisiting the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project, which, as you heard the minister speak in that video, a few more years to go for the lifetime of that project. But even with that project, unfortunately, it's been met with a number of challenges, one of which has been cited to be funding issues. But as we've already said, a lot of money was allocated to that project, But again, corruption being the bane of a lot of good ideas and projects in Nigeria has belabored that particular project. And so we haven't seen a lot of, progress with regards to that. Beyond that, there were bureaucratic delays that caused there not to, even though the cleanup exercise has begun in the area, it has been slow, it has been unimpressive, and it has just left the people even more despondent with regards to how serious the government is about cleanup exercises and remediation for the people of Ogoniland. Beyond that, of course, if there's inadequate funding, if there's bureaucratic delays, then of course there'll be local resistance. And so as a result of this, the locals have resisted the efforts of the High Prep in terms of trying to, remediate and clean up and ensure that the people in Ogoniland are able to be restored, at least prior to what happened before 1993 when the whole issue went out of hand. So the question today is, to what extent is the president willing to put his weight behind the words that we heard him speak just a few minutes ago? It's not just about making promises, even though I do believe that since this meeting has been called, the NSA has been ordered or asked to coordinate the efforts of the government in ensuring that security, cleanup is done in that area, that there will be some seriousness attached to it. I hope for the sake of the people of Ogoniland, in the interest of justice and fairness, and as a legacy for those who unfortunately lost their lives in an unjust manner as a result of just fighting for the rights of their people, very much so, that this would be done and done in record time. We have just a short time for this, but a lot of cleanup exercises to be done. A lot of life, aquatic life has almost been eroded in Ogoniland. So a great time to bring it up again and begin to speak. I know, of course, like Rufai had mentioned, like I said earlier on, 1 billion barrels up, still there. But before we begin to think about exploring and production, please, let's think about the people. People first. Ogoni people first. Well, let's move on to some cheery news this morning. ThisDay, Nigeria's foremost newspaper of record, is 30 years on the newsstands today. To mark the occasion, it has already set out to honor some of the nation's tough and resilient persons and institutions in selected fields of endeavors on Monday, January 27, just in 5 days' time. The presentation of first awards is set to begin in Davos, Switzerland tomorrow. Arguably Nigeria's most influential and innovative print media, ThisDay first started publication as a weekly on January 22, 1995, before quickly transforming into a daily newspaper barely 2 months later. In its 3 decades of trailblazing and robust journalism, ThisDay has without doubt shattered the myths and norms associated with newspaper production and publishing in the country. Till date, ThisDay remains the preferred newspaper among the business, political, and diplomatic elite, and has for many years been one of the most recognizable brands locally and internationally. Thus, to celebrate this milestone, ThisDay recently invited nominations for various categories of nominees for its awards ceremony, billed for next Monday, tagged, "When the going gets tough, the tough gets rewarded." Well, happy birthday, happy anniversary, congratulations, ThisDay newspaper, and of course, the publisher, editor-in-chief of ThisDay newspaper, the Duke himself, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, CON. Congratulations. Rufai.
I mean, a minute to talk about this great man, goodness me. Started up as a cartoonist in The Observer with this popular column called The Licky Licky. Afterwards, started this week in the 80s, then this week, after many years, morphed into ThisDay, which started as a weekly, and has really blazed the trail. Constantly been on the frontier of great ideas and bringing many innovations to journalism. ThisDay, I think, was about one of the first media newspapers to have like a functioning website, in this country. Use of computers and technology, to be able to type out the print. Many innovations came, from ThisDay over the years, and they've constantly blazed the trail with a very, very effective team. It's also morphed into a rise here. It's our 12th anniversary, and we're blazing the trail. I mean, which other, media house has an award ceremony in the silence of Davos to award people as we speak today? Which other media house? I'm not trying to blow my horn, but I'm just saying that to a large extent, kudos, and we can't just but wait for that celebration.
Okay, congratulations to ThisDay newspaper at 30. When ThisDay started in, 30 years ago, nobody probably gave the newspaper a chance. but it was a case of preparation, meeting opportunity, combining with talent. And ThisDay newspaper grew very quickly and challenged the cynics, the skeptics, particularly with the innovations that the paper introduced. I recall that it was ThisDay newspaper that first introduced color production, the color pages. Everybody thought, oh, it would be too expensive, it will not work. It worked. Now, it was also ThisDay that first introduced back page columns. Columns used to be on the opinion editorial pages, what is known as op-ed pages, inside the newspaper. But then they came with this innovation of putting columns at the back page. Now, over the years, other newspapers began to emulate ThisDay, either with color or also with back page columns. And then also with society reporting, so a lot of innovativeness. And I think that, this has a lot to do with the fact that the publisher is an artist. Artists are forever, conquering new frontiers. And it's part of the process of getting to new frontiers that you also had now the establishment of Arise News, which, like ThisDay, has also, well, at the risk of sounding masturbatory, we seem to have added greater value to the broadcasting space in Nigeria. The issue is about giving awards to people. Tomorrow, the first set of the awards, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who will be there, and Benedict Urama, who will also be there. And then on the 27th, there will be the other categories: Titans of the Year, Lifetime Achievement Award, Government Agency of the Year, Governor of the Year, and all those awards, including Man of the Year, which ThisDay is giving to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and then the other categories where you have nominees. So, well, it's a way of saying these are the people who have made impact, who have affected society positively. This is a tradition that has emerged. I once commented on the background to that in Nigerian journalism, but it's a tradition that has emerged, and we look forward to the 27th, and we look forward to having a very great, colorful, event that will seem to have become a major item on the cultural calendar of Nigeria.
Absolutely. The theme is so apt. When the going gets tough, the tough get rewarded. Beyond just acknowledging the tough year that was 2024, it's also an ode to ThisDay newspaper itself. Over the years, in its 30 years, it's faced a lot of its own tough challenges. And despite that, just to show the strength of the paper, of newspaper of record, it has continued to move against the tide and against all odds continue to thrive. I also want to take the opportunity beyond, saluting and celebrating the publisher and editor-in-chief, all the people, the good men and women of ThisDay who have made the newspaper what it is today. Newspaper, a lot of people have cut their teeth at the newspaper. Some people have made their names at the newspaper. Others have been launched into great careers, whether in politics or other areas, or even set up their own establishment on the platform of ThisDay newspaper. So congratulations, and we look forward to a really deserving celebration tomorrow in Davos, starting it off, and of course next week, Monday, here in Lagos, Nigeria.